Hello, everybody. Welcome to Clash of the Correspondents. My name's James, and this week we are welcomed by two people who had very different weekends, and perhaps unexpectedly, we are joined by Sam Murray at FPL Seagulls, our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent. How are you, Sam?
I'm all good, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Sam. And we're joined by Gary Robinson at Is My Cat Playing, our Manchester United correspondent. How are you, Gary?
I'm all right. Are you two okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, mate. You all right, Sam?
Good. We're all good. We're all good.
You must be very happy with yesterday, Sam.
Yeah, I'm still smiling. That was an almost perfect game. I think that was so good. I think it'd been coming. I wasn't surprised or anything, but we played really, really well. Yeah.
It's interesting because last year, before we played you in game week 8, you played at Newcastle in game week 7 and played very, very well. But the goals didn't come, and it didn't really look like they were going to come. But yesterday was great. I mean, the final scoreline of 3-0 was probably justice on the game. I mean, even Newcastle fans reading online have been very complimentary about you and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it kind of an evolution for the football team as a whole, you think, that even just looking at the same fixture from last season, that difference from then to now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that is a pretty clear sign of how far we have come. We were good last year away at Newcastle, but 0-0. I remember we had all the ball, we had all the chances, but we just couldn't score. Yesterday, that first early goal helped us out quite a bit. I think that took the pressure off a bit, and we could have had more. We could have been more than 3 in the end.
You got plenty of plaudits after the Chelsea game as well, where, I mean, at 1-1, I thought you were going to go and win the game potentially, mate.
Yeah, I think we were really unlucky against Chelsea. We'll play worse than that this season and we'll win. Like that was the deflection penalty, an absolute screamer from James. Another day we get at least a point there, but that's really positive. I think even though we lost, I think the Brighton fans were still pretty positive after that. Good signs, especially using the new formation, had a few new players in there. So yeah, that was a good start. And if we can play like that, like we have done in the first 2, we'll be good. It'll be a good season.
Yeah, definitely want to come back onto the formation. Gary, what happened Saturday, mate?
Who knows? I think there's a few caveats in that not a lot of that team have had a real pre-season. Pogba's had COVID, so there's a few excuses there. But even aside from all that, I mean, if you look at like how Wolves came back, and even Burnley yesterday, they've had the same breaks as we have, and Wolves especially just looked straight back to normal. We were just so far off the pace, it was scary. But it's not much of a shock. I don't think we're so inconsistent against lower ranked sides. I tweeted on Saturday, I think 35% of our points last season came against the rest of the top 6.
Wow.
We got 66 points last season, and 23 of them, I think, were against the top 6. So we're so inconsistent against the bottom 14. It's scary, really.
It felt like during the restart period and slightly before as well that Fernandes had given you that extra impetus to stop this problem, that you would have the qualities now to break down teams. But Saturday felt like a familiar problem, basically going back 9 months or so, where time and time again we'd seen you struggle against low block teams and actually only come to your best, kind of highlighted by them results against better opposition when you're counter-attacking, which against a side like Palace, you're just not going to be able to do, basically.
No, yeah. I know and Pogba was pretty poor as well. But yeah, I mean, Fernandes had a lot of the ball. For anyone who played Sky, I think he hit the top passing tier. So he had so much of the ball, but I can't remember. I'm sure he did, but I can't remember him creating a chance of any note, really. He just, and Dan James doesn't help us. The fullbacks don't offer anything. But yeah, it was like we've gone back to, like you said, January, Christmas time, where we just can't break teams down. I mean, it might be a one-off. It's the first game of the season. Palace are a game ahead of us in terms of fitness and preparation and all that. But yeah, it did look like you say, it did look like a throwback to, this time a year ago. It didn't look anything like the lockdown form that we showed.
And defensively was particularly worrying because they got at you so easily.
Yeah, I mean, Lindelof and Maguire. I mean, I don't want to go into them too much because we had a good defensive record last season, and they played every match, pretty much, them two. But and I tell you what, if Maupay and Connolly get their movements like they did yesterday or like they do, I mean, Maguire and Lindelof haven't got hope in hell because they're just so static. None of them have got any pace or any real pace, and Maupay and Connolly with them runs that they make and the sharp, quick movements they like to make. I mean, it might get tricky again on Saturday.
So, Sam, to bring that back onto you, obviously since we went into lockdown, you've played last season's top 4, all at home. Lost 3-1, lost 3-1. Was the other one 3-1 and 5-0? And I know you've conceded 14 goals in the 4 home games.
Yeah. Go on.
No, I was going to say is I wonder if United are probably not going to have the issues against you that they've had against Palace, because we know how you'll play. You want to play on the front foot. You want to play it out from the back. I just wonder actually if in an odd way, would you be better off? Is the best way of beating United just to sit off it and cede possession and say exactly what Gary said, Maupay and Connolly on the break, let's do them like that?
Yeah, it probably is. Potter is not going to he's not going to shy away from it though. He'll continue. We'll attack them probably. But probably like that's why we got we had a few good games against United when we had Houghton in charge, I think, because we defended and then we picked our moments with Murray and Gross. So probably not going to. It's not the best way to play against Man United, but it should be exciting, I think.
No, but there's something in that, isn't there? You beat them the 1-0 that Friday night, your first season up. Then it was 3-1 early the next season.
Yeah.
And both of those were quite... Obviously, in the first half, in the 3-1 game, you had your moments. That, I mean, they were shot to pieces, United, for whatever reason. Or maybe something to do with who was in charge at the time. But then you opened up, obviously, in the game against them in the restart, and they've torn you apart, really. And I just wonder, actually, if... The one thing we might not be doing at the moment is giving enough credit to Palace for how well they did at the weekend, and also the way they'll attack in numbers. So I think even if Brighton were to play that way against you, Gary, they're not going to attack with pace like what Palace had from basically every angle.
No, they're not. And I think Sam will know better than me. I wonder if Brighton are a better team away from home than they are at home as well. I think you're unbeaten.
Yeah.
Unbeaten
7 or 8 unbeaten away, yeah.
Yeah. So there might be something in that, but I mean, but it doesn't really. If United play like how they played again on Saturday, then it doesn't really matter, does it? I don't think United need to come up a few levels. But yeah, they are going to be a very different challenge to Palace, where Townsend and Zaha were the main two, weren't they? Whereas Potter likes his teams to get on the ball, and I think Sam's right. Potter strikes me one of them. He's not one of them traditional managers of a bottom half team where he thinks he's pragmatic and we're playing Man United, we better put 10 behind the ball. He's a bit like Eddie Howe in a way. He's gonna play his way, whether it's United or whether it's Fulham. It's not going to change, is it? And that's probably why you'll end up with some great results this season. And why you probably end up with a
few batterings, probably.
Yeah, and that's why as well, I think when I did my predictions at the start of the season, I couldn't think whether to put Brighton to finish 8th or to finish 20th. Honestly, I don't think there's a team in the league who's got a bigger ceiling and a bigger floor. I honestly think you could challenge for Europe, or I think you could go down with 24 points. I suspect it'll be somewhere in the middle, but... So in terms of Saturday for United, it might play into our hands, but only if we can seriously improve. And if Maguire and Lindelof don't get hold of Connolly and Maupay, then it might get silly again, like the game the other year when it was 3-2, was it, or 3-1?
3-2 finished.
3-2, yeah. Yeah, Pogba got a penalty at the end, didn't he? I think.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, a bit flattering that, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think closer to 8th, as many of the listeners will know. And I think one reason, Sam, I want to speak to you about the back three, because it feels like you've had a massive upgrade in that area. How good on what you've seen so far is Ben White?
He is, well, a lot of people probably thought that us rejecting 30-40 million was silly, but from what I've seen so far, I think he just looks so good. He's slotted in really well, and we defended well. I think it's the balance with the three at the back, and it can be quite difficult to get the balance. But I think we look solid at the back as well. Ben White has helped that. I think him, Webster, and Dunker so good with the ball at their feet as well, which is exactly what Potter wants to do. But Ben White, I've been really impressed with Ben White so far.
That three is going to stay together now, surely, bar sort of fitness injuries.
Yeah, I'd expect so. Yeah, I'd like to see them as a consistent back three.
And it also feels like, particularly with the right wing back, Tarek, who like everybody adores, is just this little bundle of energy and joy. Surely he can't be rotating this kid at the moment. He's too good, right?
No, he is fantastic. If people didn't know who he was before, they know who he is now. After those first 2 games, he's just got so much energy. I don't know how he does it. The only way he'd be rotated, I think, is just because he does so much. He covers so much ground. Maybe we'll see him come off like he did at the weekend. But he is one of our best players. He's got man of the match the last 6 or 7 games in a row or something. He's just brilliant. Bargain as well, 3 million. What a signing that was.
Yeah, and great for him as well, because, I mean, he could have sat there and gone, well, they've got Reece James and Azpilicueta, I'll wait my time. He's gone, no, I want to go and play first-team football. And my goodness, how many good right-backs have England got? Yeah. Can someone find a good left-sided one? Yeah,
it's unfortunate for him. If he was left-footed, he'd probably be in the
He'd be in the team. That goes for any of them right-backs. If they were left-footed, they'd walk in the team at the moment, by the way. And Solly March is fit at the moment, and I think it gives you good balance, Sam. Would you agree?
Yeah, I've been impressed. I thought he would do well in that position. It suits him because he's quite good defensively. He's solid. He doesn't take many risks, and in that position, we're not really relying on him to be the creator or the goal scorer. I think he does that job well. I've been impressed. He's solid there. He's probably still our weak link, but you know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get a 6, 7 out of 10 every game. It's good.
What do you mean by that weak link?
I think out of the whole side, he's probably the one that we could look to improve. I think we've been looking at left wing backs, left backs, but he's done well in the 2 games so far. I think probably more surprised Brighton fans are than that he is done well in that position. He's probably a position we could upgrade, but I'm happy with him there, actually. I think he's done well.
I know you'd mentioned, I think it was you mentioned me about Ryan Sessegnon before.
Yeah.
And I think, him on loan either to yourselves or back to Fulham
We'll have him.
Looks quite likely. Is Luke Shaw that bad then, Gary?
Oh, honestly, I just... But I mean, Wan-Bissaka's great defensively, but those fullbacks are the thing stopping us becoming, or the main thing I think stopping us becoming anything like a title challenger. We just don't get anything from them going forward. And you look at the likes of, I mean, Trent and Robertson are obviously completely different gravy to them two, but the difference between the fullbacks, I mean, you'd probably take Brighton's fullbacks over ours in terms of attacking areas. In fact, you would take Brighton's fullbacks because we just don't get anything from them, unfortunately. And I don't think Shaw, at least where with Wan-Bissaka, you know he's solid going the other way. With Luke Shaw, you don't even get that. So, I think we desperately need 2 new at least 1 left back anyway.
Alex Telles has been linked, hasn't he? Is the name I keep hearing over the last 72 hours or so. Yeah,
I mean, I can't profess to be an expert on Portuguese football, so I mean, what I would say is he's 27, isn't he? And for sale for about £20 million. So I would have my doubts if he's that top level. But I've never watched him play, so I'm not going to comment. But and the other thing is, I'll be surprised if we get any more deals over the line now. Anyway, it doesn't look like a lot's happening.
We'll get hold of Bradley Parker's, our Portugal correspondent's thoughts on Tellez on another show. But why do you say you don't think anything will happen?
There just doesn't seem to be any real impetus to get anything done. I mean, I don't think the owners won't be that bothered about spending any more money to get any better. As long as we finish in the top four, the money's coming in. There's the difference between finishing fourth and winning a trophy in terms of financial prize money is barely anything. So I don't think they'll see it as worth a gamble. Sancho, I mean, that's gone silent. I don't think that said when we had the pre-season review. I didn't think Sancho would happen, and I still don't think it'll happen. What have we got left now? About 2 weeks before the window.
I think it closes 2 days after game week 4 begins. I think Monday the 7th or something, or Monday the 5th. Sorry,
Monday the 5th. Yeah. So time's ticking along there, and I mean, how often do you get 120, 150 million pound deals done on deadline day? That deadline day is usually the what's the word? The panic buys, isn't it? You know, and the loans and all that. I can't see us buying 120 million pound Sancho on that deadline day. So I just don't think anything will happen. But you know, I could be proven wrong.
And listen, I know it's going back sort of 12 years, and the money was a bit different then. But Berbatov was right at the death, wasn't it? And that deal had been brewing for weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, and we had Ferguson then. Ferguson had a bit more sway, I think, than the managers now. I think the managers now have got very little say in who comes into the club and when they come in. So, yeah. But I mean, when did we buy Berbatov? 2008?
Yeah.
So, 12 years ago. A lot's changed since then. But, I mean, you might be right. We might still buy Sancho.
I still think it will happen is my instinct, actually.
Yeah.
I think the pressure's building, the little things like, I mean, to be honest, even from the outsider's opinion, one of the things like with Bale coming back to us, I was always convinced that if he ever came back here, it would be to you. Now, I realise it's for whoever he went to, it was going to be a short-term move. But Spurs have got him on 200 grand a week, is what Tottenham are paying Real Madrid. You think, wouldn't that have been worth the chance for United to take him for a year's loan and then go back to Sancho next year, for example? And then obviously Reguilon as well, when you're saying you need a left-back. And I think that's why there's a mass frustration at the moment. It's because of that, really. You're not buying players.
Yeah, I mean, the Reguilon thing, I mean, the idea that, we're Manchester United and we can't buy someone with a buyback clause, they're not living in the real world. The transfers are going to have to be a bit more creative and a bit more... you're going to have to give up a few things now in this COVID environment. Transfers are going to completely change. So the idea that we're too big a club to buy someone with a buyback loan, buyback clause, I think we've got a player on loan from Shanghai Shenhua. We bought Swansea's right winger a year ago. So the idea that we can't buy Real Madrid's left back for a buyback clause, I just find it mad. And like you say, I don't know if we get Tellez, he might be an upgrade, but we're already we should be 2 games into the season, and we've not really improved our starting 11 still. So I'll be surprised if we buy anyone else now of any real note, but we'll see.
Sam, talk to me about Leandro Trossard. 14 FPL points so far. Changed position during the Chelsea game and then stayed in that position for the game yesterday. Do you like him in that kind of deeper role with 2 in front? Because I feel he's finding space a little bit better is the first thing that springs to mind.
Yeah, I do like Trossard. I think he's technically one of the best players in the squad. I was trying to work out where he was starting that first 10-15 minutes. I wasn't really sure. I think with Trossard, I think it's almost best to just give him a free role. Give him he can go central, drift out wide if he likes, because when he's on the ball, I think we look we look good. Him running at the defence, he was good again against Newcastle, and I think Potter likes him as well. He seems to start with him more often than not now. Go on.
There's always someone second season shows up more. We spoke about this when you come on a couple of weeks ago, that his numbers look good for what he got on the pitch for in the first season. A lot of it influenced by rotations / injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I feel at the moment that the biggest takeaway I think for me from the first 2 games is stop fucking about with the rotation. This first 11's good. And I think he needs to be a part of it. And it never considered to me the idea that he would play in that deeper role, almost as part of a midfield 3 with license to go, with good protection from Malzarte and Bissouma, to be fair. But I think having the 2 in front of him, you saw that when he had the run and he hit the post yesterday. The fact that he had that freedom of space was because he had 2 runners in front of him.
Yeah,
I just think that opens up some real possibilities for him. Whereas there'll be a lot of other people thinking, oh, I thought he was going to play out of position up front, But I'm not sure the service would have come so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it might be better off with him a bit deeper. Yeah, Connolly and Maupay are the ones that are looking to score, and he can create, and he's not afraid to shoot either from the edge of the box. I do like him in there. When Lallana came off against Chelsea, I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to drop Trossard back a bit, but I think that's a good position. And Potter as well. In pre-season, I wasn't sure. I think there was probably 2 players I could guarantee that were starting in the first week. But I think he is now finding his best team after a season. He's starting to work out his best team. Bar 1 or 2 players which can switch. I'm pretty confident. I say this now. We'll probably switch it all up against Man United again.
Probably.
But I think I can pick our best 11 now, and hopefully we can get some consistency with the lineup. And Trossard could be a really good option in fantasy football.
Is that, when you say pick the best 11, is that what played yesterday? Is that the best 11?
Yes, I would say that is our best 11. Maybe Proper, if he's fit, would be in there for... it's difficult because Alzate and Bissouma, I think, have been really, really good. But yeah, you could get Proper in there. But that is as close as it gets, I think, to our best 11.
I was still a bit giddy yesterday when your game was on, because Spurs crossed the halfway line more than 5 times, unbelievably. But by the end of the game, to be honest, that red card, I was laughing hysterically. I've never seen anything like it. Do you think it was a red for Bissouma?
As soon as he done it, I thought he's going to send him off here. We can never just get through a game and not have something like that happen. But he obviously didn't mean it. There was no intent. But I guess with the rules, it's a red card. But now he's got a 3-match ban, which seems harsh when you look at what happened.
Yeah, I think so as well. Do you not think that? I saw you nodding away, Gary. 3-game ban's harsh off that, isn't it?
Well, I think a 3-game ban is, but it's like the Nani one, isn't it, against Real Madrid, whenever that was 7 years ago. He doesn't mean it, but if you kick someone in the face, it's a red card, isn't it? Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, like you say, what do? They can't say, oh well, you didn't mean it, so it's only 1 game. They've just got to go with what the rules are, haven't they? Unfortunately, but yeah, it was so unfortunate.
I just think it was one of them. It was absolutely certain. There's certain ones you see, and you think, oh, has he meant to elbow him there or something, or is there a bit of intent?
Yeah.
It was so obvious that he tried to backheel the ball and he completely missed it.
Yeah.
The bigger point is,
it went wrong.
The biggest point is, though, Sam, he's a big miss because he's been great. I thought he was great again yesterday. For the first hour against Chelsea, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. I was so impressed with him. Mm-hmm. And I think he's a very big miss for this weekend, actually. And I think it's worth saying. Who do you think comes in?
See, we've got a few options. So it could be Stevens, but he's actually been rumoured to leave. I'm not sure about him. Proper, I'm not sure on Proper's fitness. And we've got a youngster, Jason Malumbi, he was at Millwall last year. He could come in there as well. So it'd be one of those 3. I doubt we'll go more attacking and bring in a Gross, Callis or something like that. But he'll be a big miss. We need to make sure, because one of his games he misses will be Preston in the Cup. And if we get through in the Cup, the 3rd game of his 3-game ban would also be in the Carabao Cup. So
okay, yeah, good shout.
it could work out that he only misses the Man United game at the weekend, but he will be a big miss because he's looked one of our best players. He's really, really improved. It's been so impressive.
I think there might be a fourth option, actually. I think he might just play Lallana there.
Yeah, Lallana, yeah. That is a good point. If he's fit, not sure we can get 90 minutes. But yeah, we've got loads of depth in midfield. That's one of the positions where we can chop and change and we can still put out a strong midfield three there.
Let's talk about the front line, Gary. That I went into Fernandes and Martial this week. Have I done the wrong thing?
Well, it's one game, isn't it? I mean, I said pre-season I wasn't going to go into any of them, so, and I haven't done, and I'm nothing that happened on Saturday has made me, because I was worried. I was thinking, could miss out on an absolute haul here, but I don't think you haven't done the wrong thing yet. We don't know, do we? I mean, Brighton last season away from home, Fernandes got, what did Fernandes get? 15 points. I think Greenwood would have got 12, 13. So you don't know yet, do you? We've got Spurs after that. That could be anything. That could be anything, couldn't it? That could be anything. We've got, I think we've got Newcastle.
0-0, I suspect, mate.
Yeah, it could be 0-0. But if Spurs play like you never know. It could be 3-3. So it's one game, isn't it? So if you've gone into United, you can't come off now, can you? I don't think. Not.
Nah.
I mean, and I think with respect, Brighton away is not a game where you go, I'm desperate to get rid of someone. You're happy for them to play in that game. And even Spurs at home. I mean, you're not going to be desperate to come off them then, I don't think. And then by then you have the international break. You'll know if it's not happening for United, and you might be able to move off then. If you've gone in now, you've got to stick. But equally, if you haven't gone in yet, I won't be rushing into them yet either. Because until you know how they're playing and who's on form and where everyone's playing, I don't think you can go into them either.
I think for FPL managers at the moment, there's so much rush to get onto the points that have gone and those that are going to go up in value that, United, for what is still, I think, an attractive fixture. Like I said, those 4 home games, Sam, as much as we've raved about you, is concerning to make you think, well, United battered you when they came. And actually, the lessons weren't learnt for the Liverpool, City and Chelsea games afterwards as well. And the big problem in terms of theme that keeps coming out of those games for me is where you lose the ball. We know you've got a philosophy that you want to play out, etc. But I'm thinking of Salah's goal against you, the Jorginho penalty against you, where Werner's end up going through. It's the same thing. Passing the ball into, let's say, with respect, players uncomfortable in that area with their back to goal. Yeah. And then you get them robbed. And I'm thinking of, if you get robbed high against United, whereas unlike that, they never would have had that opportunity against Palace because of the way Palace set up and narrow with the back 4 and stuff, even if you get beyond the midfield. You're just not opened up. Whereas yourselves, you're attacking from a goal kick and you'll spread out. It's space. The wide centre halves are going to wide areas, the wing backs will push on, etc. If you get pinched higher, United have got the pace to cause real mass damage. The one that disappointed in that fixture last year was Martial. He was the one that had the really quiet night. Everybody else played really well from memory. It's interesting, Martial didn't score against Tottenham in the game at White Hart Lane either, although it wasn't for the want of trying. Great Loris save, dire block. From the perspective of having already bought Fernandes and Martial, there is no way I would sell either of them before this fixture, bearing in mind I know what can happen to Brighton on the counter-attack as much as I've credited you, Sam. So as much as I look at my team and go, I'd be better with Werner this week than Martial, I'm not actually certain that it would be. I'm definitely not certain it's worth a -4 to make that move either. So they'll be staying for me. Similarly against Tottenham, I mean, Fernandes against us in the league game was absolutely... Once Pogba come on the pitch, he bossed the thing. And Martial's pace, if Tottenham play high in any sort of way, will cause some damage. I'd possibly fancy Martial to return more against us than against Brighton, oddly enough. So I'm not in any rush particularly to get rid of either of them. Have you got any of them, Sam?
I bought in Martial this week, and I'll be keeping him as well because this time of season is always a bit of a rush. There's not much information. You look at Tottenham looked pretty bad against Everton, didn't they? Then they stuck 5 past Southampton. Same with Newcastle. Everyone was rushing to Newcastle assets, and they did have a shot on target against us. So I think I'm pretty happy with just Martial at the minute. I got rid of Ings. That went well.
Yeah, I mean, look, my striker in FPL scores twice. We beat him 5-2. It was a good day for me, right? Have you got any Brighton players, Sam?
Ryan. I've got Matthew Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, same. He had a lot of work to do yesterday, didn't he? I don't think people should be travelling that far and doing fuck all under this COVID system. Really, he should have stayed at home, to be honest.
Yeah.
Have you got any of them, Gary?
I've got Matt Ryan as well, yeah. And I ain't got any United, so yeah. Matt Ryan, but yeah, that was one of them yesterday where you thought if they have one shot here and it goes
They'll
in,
score.
Because you just like you knew after about 50 minutes there was going to be no save points coming. So it's just like at least just if that clean sheet goes as well now. But yeah, so yeah, I did well out of your teams yesterday. Actually, I had Kane and Ryan in mind. So and no United. So yeah.
Harry Kane, more assists in 25 minutes than the whole of last season. That's a stat to take to the bank. But just remember, him and Son don't really like each other, right?
Where's that come from? I've never heard that before.
Honestly, I get it on the streams all the time, mate.
Really?
Yeah, they don't pass to each other. They don't like all the time. I get it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Van der Beek, Gary. Probably difficult to give assessment. He's obviously scored on his debut coming on.
Yeah.
His impact was decent. Where do you see him fitting into this?
Well, I mean, I can't see where we would play him because I don't think he's got the skill set to play, where a Matic would play. So I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I don't think he's an upgrade on Pogba or Fernandes. So I don't know, and I honestly don't know. I don't dispute he's a good player, but I just found him an odd signing for United, given. Because I don't think he improved our start. I think he's improved our squad and he's improved our squad depth, which did need improving. But I think you can rush sometimes to improve your squad rather than just improving your starting 11. I mean, if you look at what Liverpool did 2 years ago, their squad even now is still pretty light, isn't it? Really, but they fixed the starting 11 with a keeper and Van Dijk, and they've got Matip, Milner.
They've got a lot of options in the midfield area now, haven't they, with Thiago coming in?
Well, they have now, but I'm saying when they improved it 2 years ago, they didn't, did they? They had the three.
No.
They had the three midfielders, but they weren't really that bothered with it. They said we've got our starting 11, and we'll see how far this takes us with Milner and Matip. Whereas United seem to have tried to get the numbers in, but we've still got deficiencies in the actual starting 11, and I don't think Van der Beek has addressed them as good as he may turn out to be. And he scored a good goal on Saturday, but yeah, I don't know where you'd play him. I've seen talks of diamond midfields and things, but can't play diamond midfield with our fullbacks.
The problem is, and I think you've got the problem, I said this a couple of weeks ago, a little bit like what Tottenham have had for years with Kane. How do you get someone in when you know they're not going to play? So, I mean, for example, if Fernandes got done yesterday for 3-4 months, this fella's going to come in really handy, isn't he, for example? Same as
of course, yeah.
So it almost feels like a no-win where we've been very critical of United and said, you take out that first 11. The first 11 is capable of beating anyone, particularly if they're allowed to counter-attack. Capable of beating anyone, but then every time they make a substitution, the team gets worse. On Saturday, he made a substitution. This guy's made an impact and partially got you back into the game. So it almost feels like you can't win a little bit in some instances. Yeah,
it is. But I mean, that just again speaks to how poorly the recruitment's been for the last, 2-3 years. We've done bits of everything, but we've not done anything. You know what I mean? It's now something again. We've got a starting 11 that's not quite good enough, and squad depth that's not quite there either. I just felt it was a position that was, in terms of increasing the depth of the squad, I just felt it was such low priority. But definitely. Fred never got on the pitch at the weekend. Matic was unavailable. I think it was a huge miss, by the way. I think that went very understated from the weekend, because he, in his mind, defensively, he sees pictures. It's the opposite of Bruno can see a picture with his pass. Matic sees the pictures defensively. Is he likely to come back in at the weekend, do you think? Because I think that made a big difference. I would play him, because I think, he's, like you say, our stats when he plays compared to when he doesn't are the night and day. And he, like you say, he's better defensively and he's better on the ball than anything we've got playing that deep. So I would be putting him back in, but I'm not sure if he will have. Like I say, the options are there now where we could play so many of them. So, but I would be playing him anyway.
Yeah, agreed. I'd be sticking him in. And I know you were protective of Lindelof. He had an absolute shocker, particularly, and Maguire was bad as well at the weekend. Oh, look, we've got kids in the room now.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll go to Sam then.
Yeah.
Maupay option for FPL.
Yeah. Especially that he's the penalty taker. I wasn't sure after he missed those two, these last two, but I think he's our main striker. We're going to be relying on him for goals. I think he's a good option. There's a few around that price, but now the fixtures after this one, I think we've got some nice games. Might be looking at him.
Are they though? Everton away, Palace away afterwards. Although, as Gary highlighted, away from home might even be better.
Yeah. I think Maupay's a for 6.5. Is he 6.5? I think. Yeah, I think he'll tick along with goals all season, and he's more likely to get him, I think, against Everton and Palace than United and whatever. But I think he's a good option. Yeah.
That area in terms of FPL pricing is like a rage area at the moment with Antonio, Chris Wood, you've got Calvert-Lewin just above, Mitrovic just below. I mean, nearly everybody's going to have someone in and about that value area, but clearly not many have Neil Maupay. 1.8% owned at the time of recording is astonishing. I think a lot of people were very put off by them early fixtures of having sort of Chelsea and United in the first three and just gone, yeah, I'm going to go elsewhere. And also feel there's a lot of regret on him where people seem to dive on around the winter period last year. Yeah. He didn't really equate to too many returns. I think he's a very good option. He wouldn't be far off my radar. I think the fear is also the rotation. But I think, again, second season now, he stays in that team.
He's our number one, yeah. But I think also that was his first brace for the club as well. I think last year it was one goal here or there. He wasn't really explosive. But maybe you can chip in with some more braces, hit a bit of form.
As the double duty, Gary, you're right.
Sorted, yeah.
Good man. I was speaking to you about the two centre-halves. I think they obviously really struggled at the weekend. Is there more in it, or is it just, like I said, Palace and pace?
I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, Zaha and Townsend are trouble, aren't they? Especially on the break. And Maguire and Lindelof just haven't got any pace, have they? So they're always going to struggle, especially if we don't have like a Matic in front of them. But both Lindelof and Maguire, they can look unbelievable for 10 matches in a row, and then all of a sudden the roof caves in. I mean, it happened in the lockdown where we went unbeaten and playing really well, and then the FA Cup semi-final, and it all just fell to pieces. So they've both got errors in them. I think Lindelof gets a lot of stick, rightly so, but I don't think Maguire wasn't much better on Saturday.
No.
And one of the things about being a centre-back partnership is when one of you is struggling, the other one will bail you out. The thing with them two is when one of them has a bad game, the other one seems to have a bad game, which is not ideal. Whereas if you look at the top partnerships, you look at someone like Van Dijk, he'll get Gomez out of trouble, won't he? Or Company was a bit like that. If he ever played with Otamendi, he'd hold his hand. Or I'll look at someone like Rio Ferdinand and Johnny Evans.
Playing with Otamendi, I definitely would have been holding his hand the old game, mate.
Yeah. But I think like Rio Ferdinand used to. If Johnny Evans played Rio Ferdinand, Johnny Evans looked top class because Rio would bring him with him. Whereas Maguire and Lindelof, they just seem to. If one's awful, the other one's awful. So I'm worried about Connolly and Maupay on Saturday because them short, sharp runs. Yeah, not a fan.
Right side will have to be better though, wouldn't it? Wan-Bissaka and Greenwood back in, surely.
It's got to be. I mean, I don't know why Greenwood didn't play on. I can only assume it was he'd not had enough training with the team. If he was training alone. But I just, Dan James, he works hard, all the rest of it. He comes across really well, nice lad. But at the minute, he isn't good enough, unfortunately. And as an impact sub, you get more from him because he's rapid and you can actually get something out of him in terms of stretching a game or a different option, or even just working hard to shore up a side. But Greenwood's so far ahead of him, So yeah, Greenwood's got to come back in. I've not heard why Wan-Bissaka didn't start on Saturday, so I don't know if I've missed some injury niggles there, or again whether he was just struggling to come back
he's
after.
Fit, mate. Might not be match fit for whatever reason, but I think he's fit.
But I haven't checked actually, but I would have thought he went. Did he play with the under-21s, Wan-Bissaka, or did he not go? I don't know. So I found it very odd that he didn't start. So
no, was he in? I don't think he was in the England squad, was he?
I don't think he's in the full England squad, but would he not have gone on with the under-21s maybe? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Is he too old for that now? I can't remember.
He's too good for it, mate. I don't think so.
But yeah, so I don't know if we missed the niggle there or I've not been told anything. But we're playing tomorrow night, so we might get a better idea then if he gets some minutes then. So
on James, I've been very critical of him, but I just feel like it's a little bit unfortunate. It's just the way Greenwood's come in during that restart period and the difference in quality is unbelievable. James really, he's a winger. Yeah. And the way you're playing with that system now doesn't really suit. I feel James has got two functions for you. One is when you're playing strong opposition, he could play as a split forward for you.
Yeah.
And the other one is get him on out wide when you're holding on to a lead and you're under a bit of pressure and send him away and he'll carry the ball for you.
Yeah.
Palace, in an odd way, is about as bad a game as you could put him in for. Because he's just not going to get away. And Mitchell, actually, at left back was very good for Palace. The one we haven't spoke about, Gary, is Rashford, who I know you were obviously very keen on pre-season. You did say if he plays for England and stuff.
Yeah,
didn't. So do you feel like with him, he needs a run of games now before we'll see the explosiveness from him? Yeah,
I said on the other pod before the season, I said he's like Harry Kane, I think. He needs a few matches and to keep playing. And then you'll see it. He's not the type who, like, say, Kevin De Bruyne, if he comes back from an injury, he's bang on it. Rashford isn't like that. So, yeah. And I think Rashford as a midfielder, I think he might end up being our highest scoring player. So, but it's like we've just said, you can't go in on him now because you just haven't seen anything as of yet. So, yeah, but you're going to have to give Rashford a few weeks, I think, just to build up that sharpness because he can look sluggish if he's not fit.
Sam, who you got in the cup?
Preston.
And who you got, Gary?
Luton.
Ah, yes. Yours is on Sky, isn't it, Gary?
I think so, yeah.
When's your game, Sam? Do you know what day?
I think it's Wednesday night.
Okay. And are you expecting mass rotation? I mean, we expect it most games with you, actually, in the past, but we might get used to something else now. The team against Portsmouth was heavily changed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was 11 changes. I think something like that, again, probably the same sort of players, Jahanbash, McAllister.
And any thoughts on you, Gary, that it will go strong in any way against Luton? Like get Rashford more minutes, for example?
Well, I mean, I assume he'll rest everyone, but I'd quite like to see him play a few of them because they didn't look that sharp on Saturday, and they might do better just having some more minutes in the legs. I think you'd give Dean Henderson a game. You'd want to get Van der Beek a start. Who else might need a start? Wan-Bissaka might need some minutes, but I'd be tempted to play a few of them certainly because I'd be playing Greenwood. I'd be trying to get some more minutes into Pogba's legs. So yeah, and the other thing is, if we go out tomorrow, then all of a sudden you're under some serious pressure, aren't you? So
is
Solskjaer ever not under pressure? It just comes with the territory being United manager, right?
Well, I mean, he's not under that. He's not under as much pressure as he should be, is he? Because if he wasn't a club legend, he wouldn't be in the job still, would he? So he's not under that much pressure, I don't think. Because the performances and the results, there's been no trophy in his since he's been there. I know it's only been 2 seasons, but you imagine him at somewhere like Chelsea, say, or Real Madrid, he wouldn't have lasted this long, would he? So he's going to have to. I think he has to win something this season as well, and he might do well to take a leaf out of Mourinho's book and just win whatever he can get hold of, even like if it's a League Cup.
I'll definitely take that. By the way, Tottenham very much benefited at the weekend from playing a strong team in Bulgaria last Thursday.
Yeah.
For fitness, get a proper game under your belts, etc.
Yeah.
Just that competitive mindset as well. I think Tottenham benefited from that. I did say in an odd way, all these fixtures in an odd way might benefit Tottenham a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you can get the minutes in the whole squad during this period.
I think you can see it in someone like Kane. I honestly think there's so many parallels in Kane and Rashford in that if you get the minutes, and Kane obviously scored, didn't he, on last Thursday? And it's just little things like that just get players up and running, don't they? And if Rashford gets 2 against Luton tomorrow, he'll feel as if he's up and running. It won't matter that it was the League Cup against Luton. It's another 90 minutes and get off the mark for the season. So I'll say with Martial as well. So I'd be tempted to play some of them. But whether he will or not, he might think Saturday's the important one.
Let's do predictions before we go then. Sam, prediction for Saturday?
Oh, I don't want to get too carried away.
No, please.
I'm going to go for... I expect Man United. I expect a response after that against Palace. 1-1. I'm going to be optimistic.
Gary, surprised you didn't think you're going to win.
Yeah.
Go on, Gary.
I was going to say 2-2, so I think we need to have a bet on a score draw, don't we?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. I think you win, Gary. I think there's a couple of important reasons why. I think the transition issue won't be the same against Brighton as it's been in certain other games. I think you'll be able to get at them. I think they're quite happy for you to get at them, by the way. I also think Bissouma is going to be a big miss, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of that midfield area, and I think in terms of Fernandes picking up pockets of space will be better for that. And I think team-wise, Greenwood will be back in, Wan-Bissaka will be back in, Matic will be back in, and it will look stronger. So I expect you to win. I actually think you'll win comfortably. I think, bearing in mind that record of goals that Brighton have conceded in the home games, I could see you winning about 3-1, mate. And Sam, I rave about your team, so don't take that harsh. Because I genuinely think what Gary said earlier, I think top half is a real possibility for you this year. I really, really do. It's very rare that I watch you and think you're shit. Even in them home games, you get battered. Like Monday night last week was like, fucking hell, they're all right. Again, they played well, a few naiveties, but then you get back in the game, Trossard scores, Reece James scores a welding. It's like, what can you do about that?
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting carried away just because that dominant win against Newcastle. I think I've been feeling this since Potter got here. Really, it's been building up. And we've got a really, really exciting team that is going to get better. They're all young. They've got some new players in there, new formations. We're going to get better, and it's exciting.
I wish you both very well, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Clash of the Correspondents next week, guys. We'll be back to Thursday. Adam Hopcroft will be joining us talking about Aston Villa, and Dan Lord, FPL Local Lord, on Liverpool. So we'll be previewing the Villa-Liverpool game next Thursday ahead of game week 4. Rest of this week, main episodes tomorrow, reviewing all of game week 2. Wednesday will be Sky. Thursday is our 500th podcast. Keep an eye out on some communications on Twitter, and I'll be streaming again Friday and Saturday. Otherwise, thanks very much, Sam, Gary. Best of luck this weekend. Be nice to each other, everybody.
Cheers.
Cue music, please, man child.